Hi everyone, my name is June. I'm a designer with Burton Snowboards, which means that I help make the clothes that you guys like to wear. But today I'm here with my daughter Lily and Mira, and we're going to show you how to make a face mask at home. The first step is going to be gathering the material that you want to make your mask out of. You can use a cotton shirt, an old pillowcase, a pair of jeans, or a pair of pants, and try to stay away from anything stretchy. So if you cut it along the entire length, you'll end up with a really long strip that's about 42 inches long. So if I cut 2 of those, then I'll have enough to make my 4 straps. At this point, you should have 2 long pieces for your straps or 4 really long pieces for your straps. You'll also have a front and back piece to your mask. They're both going to be 7 by 9 inches. The next step is going to be to iron the strap pieces so that they're easier to sew. So I line up the 2 raw edges together and make sure that they're exactly in half. Then I take the iron over top and just run it all the way down. And then I'm going to fold in each raw edge towards the center. So now that the raw edges are folded to the middle, if I fold the whole strap over, everything is nicely tucked down to the center. And this will be the last ironing step for this strap. So in order to keep the straps really durable, we're going to sew down the fold. So we want to just sew all of it shut to make it into a nice sturdy strap. So Mira's lined up her strap right under the presser foot, and you can see that the needle is coming down into the center of the strap. She's just going to try to keep it really straight as she sews it down, and she's going to remember to backstitch at the beginning and end of the sewing. Take it from the direction you were sewing it and then flip it over. And then just run your eyes and your fingers along the whole length to make sure that you've sewn the whole thing shut. Because otherwise, you've made a strap that isn't as strong as it should be. This one looks good, so we're all set with the straps. Now you have 2 really long straps or 4 shorter straps. To make our straps, we're just going to cut these in the middle. Pay attention to where you cut because those are the edges that you're going to stick out when you pin everything together. Lily's here. She's going to show us how to pin together the front and back panels of the mask with the straps. The first piece, Lily's putting face up. It doesn't matter if you think that's going to be the back of the mask or the front of the mask. The next step she does is curl up the straps, and she takes those cut edges and pokes them out of the corners at 45 degrees. Because we're going to sew around this whole rectangle, we want to make sure we only sew the straps at the very corners. So then she takes the other piece of fabric. Again, it doesn't matter if it's the front or back, but she puts it down face down. And then put a pin through all 3 layers. The front of the mask, the back of the mask, and the strap. Now that everything's pinned together and ready to sew, we're going to sew around the perimeter of this with about a 1/2 inch seam allowance. What you do want to do is leave an opening. I like to leave it at the bottom center so that once we're done sewing around, we can flip the whole thing right side out. So we'll start sewing here. And before I get to the pin, I take it out. Make sure that that strap is at 45-degree angle and line everything up. I make sure I sew through the strap and then I rotate my work to get around the corner. I'm just going to feel along this edge to make sure that I don't have any strap pieces sticking under there. And then again, I'm going to stop about 2 inches away from where I started. And backstitch to anchor it and then take it out. So at this point, I'm going to cut the corners. I want to cut them not right at the seam, but I don't want all this extra strap on the inside of my mask. So I'm just going to cut it off with maybe about a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch seam allowance away from the corner that I just sewed. So now each corner looks like this. Next step is going to be just to flip this whole thing right side out. And hopefully I have only sewn the straps down in the corners and not along any of the edges. So through the hole that you left open, just push all of the fabric right side out. And you're just going to pull the fabric down and lay it flat. And then you're going to pin the pleat on either side to hold it in place. That's 1 pleat. We want 2 pleats. So again, about 3/4 of an inch. And you can see that I try not to make the pleats overlap each other because it'll make too much fabric to run through the sewing machine. So that the end of this pleat is kind of at the beginning of that pleat. When I sew this, the first thing I like to do is sew shut the opening that I've left. So I'll usually start up here, and you want to sew kind of close to the edge, but again, with enough control that you don't run over the edge as you're sewing. So maybe 1/8 to 1/4 inch seam allowance as you do the sewing around the entire edge of the mask. So I line it up in the machine right at the beginning of the hole that I've made, and then I'm just going to sew all the way around just like I did from the inside. When you go over the pleats, you want to sew a little bit slower because there's a lot of fabric there and you don't want to jam up your machine. So at this point, you've sewn all the way around your mask. All you have to do is take the pins out, and you should have a finished mask. So see how the pleats make it fit really nicely over my mouth and chin, and then I can just tie the straps around as needed. So again, you open up the top and bottom to fit around the nose. Mira's going to hold it in place, and then you basically just tie the top around your head, and then the bottom can go around your neck. And because they're tied, they can fit any size, shape, or of head. I'm trying not to catch Mira's hair. Kind of like a surgical mask. There you go. Now you can go make a mask for a friend, a family member, or a coworker, and be safe.